Trump shot in the ear, and another person fatally shot, and then of course the shooter fatally shot, and then two other people in the hospital. So it's been a wild, wild, wild weekend. And boy, it's been a we live in this changing of the guard, the changing of the era, and it's been yeah, I think I already said it's been intense. So I hope that I want to just open by saying, I hope you're praying for our government, the safety of our political leaders, for obviously for former President Trump, for also current President Joe Biden, and then all of the people that are running for office and in office, and then just public people right now. We just need to make sure that we're upholding them in prayer. Paul wrote to Timothy, said, first of all, pray for kings. It's pretty important that we have a prayer covering over the kings. Well, okay, we have a free for all question and answer time today, and these questions are, we kind of left the subject of the prophetic ministry and prophet ministry behind us, and today we're starting off with talking about just answering your questions actually. And I'll just jump right into a couple of them. How do you maintain unity with leadership without controlling people? I don't actually know. There's not a name on that question. I don't know who asked that question, but I'll just say that um, great leadership should empower people. Like, the goal of leadership is not to control people, but help them into their divine destiny. So, I mean, I think hopefully it's easy to be and easy and important to be accountable to a team of people who are helping you to actually grow. And accountability means account for your ability, not your disability. So I think it's really important that the leaders that are on this call, and also the people that leaders are leading on this call. I mean, the goal of leadership is accountability, that we would find the destiny and purpose and gold in other people, and that we would have an empowering culture in which we are helping you to find your divine destiny. It's pretty easy to be in unity with people who are actually trying to help me and trying to grow me. And by the way, I do believe in the discipline of leaders. We're called disciples, so it means that inherently all of us need discipline. We need people in our lives that will not just encourage us. We need people who are correct us and direct us. And I know there's like, the word on the street right now around, the religious world is, I think it's not maybe a new title, but it's, like, kind of toxic leadership or spiritual abuse. And all of these things are important because there is such thing as spiritual abuse. There is real spiritual abuse, but we have to realize also that we live in a culture of no accountability. So if you look at the life of Jesus and you say, well, Jesus was perfect theology and Jesus was perfect leadership, I mean, he certainly didn't have any trouble, telling people, you're whitewashed tombs full of dead man's bones. And some people are like, well, he corrected the Pharisees. Well, he corrected the political world too. He corrected his disciples continually. He corrected even his parents, when his mom and brothers came to one of his meetings and sent a word like, hey, your mothers and brothers are here. You got a special VIP seat for them. He said, huh, my mother and brothers are the ones who do my will, do the will of God. I mean, do the will of God. So, Jesus didn't have any trouble, giving us some truth with love. He didn't have any trouble, telling people the way it really is. And so when we're talking about spiritual abuse, I think there are spiritual abusers. There's also people who don't like anyone to give them input, and a lot of people, they go to church but they don't actually become the church. So but there's truth on both sides. um let's see, how about this one? Some of my leaders have great ideas, but at the same time we don't have the finances or the manpower to bring these ideas to life. How can I tell them no without causing them too much disillusion? Well, I don't look at my provision and decide my vision. I look at my vision and pray for provision, because I believe that God funds the things that he has a vision for. So I think it's important that vision is, his sight with insight, with foresight is his vision. So it's like, what does the Lord want? And so I don't want to be on a team where we look at our budget and go, well, boys, yep, That's about what we can do right there. Well, girls, that's about what we can do. I don't want to be on a team that is limited by their resources. I see Jesus looking to his disciples and saying, "Hey, I want you to feed all these people." And they're like, "Are you kidding me? That would cost $1 million. And by the way, there's no stores around. If we had $1 million, how would we buy food?" And Jesus is like, "Well, what do you have?" And they're like, "Well, I don't know. Kids got a lunch." Jesus is like, "Bring it to me." So, Jesus is constantly challenging the guys, like, don't look at your provision and decide your vision. Like, look to me and let me be your provision. So, I wouldn't want to be on a team of people who said, "Well, we can't do that, we can't do that, and we don't have money for that, and we don't have." It's like, well, let's live future present, and God will provide if we have His vision and His heart. Um, I currently have volunteers in my ministry who are dedicated but not motivated. Well, I'm seeking ways to inspire and support them. What strategies can I implement to boost their motivation and enhance their performance? Well, I'll tell you this: there is a lot of people. Okay, well, let me back up and say it this way: the difference between a good leader and a great leader is a great leader knows how to get people pregnant with vision. Like, it's really important that a great leader knows how to inspire people for vision. And I believe, Proverbs 29:18 says, without a vision, people perish, but happy is he who keeps the law. It goes on to say, there's another verse that says, it says, it says, it says something, you should hear it. So it's very powerful. It says, without a vision, people go unrestrained. But happy is he who keeps the law. Without a vision, people go unrestrained, but happy is he who keeps the law. Without a vision, people perish, but happy is he who keeps the law. What's the point? The point is that if I have no vision, I don't keep the law. What's that mean? I don't restrain my options to actually capture the vision. And so a lot of people, a vision means you can see it. It's called vision. There's a reason why it's called a vision. It means that in my mind's eye, I can see it. And a lot of people repeat mission, which mission is the why, vision is the what, goals are the when, plans are the how. And people repeat mission, the why, the purpose, thinking they're inspiring people. But it doesn't say without a mission, people perish or people go unrestrained. It says without a vision. So what does it look like? How do I inspire people? I share with them a mission, purpose, but then I say, this is what it looks like. And when people can see it, they actually will be inspired by it. Love it, Michelangelo. I've quoted this many times. One of my favorite quotes: I saw the angel in the stone and I carved to set it free. The difference in life between freeing angels, metaphorically speaking, and chipping rock is, can you see the angel in the stone? And there's a lot of people that spend their life chipping rock. It's like they do the same thing that the sculpture does, but they don't see the angel, and they're not actually freeing angels. They're just chipping rock. So I think inspiring people with visions, the way that people actually move things forward. I'm a female in the U.S. Army. Well, first of all, let me say thank you for serving. And during my deployment, I hold a Bible study with up to 9 men who would attend. I found the men needing a space to share vulnerability about their challenges with purity and marriage, but the Christian men in my unit were unwilling to disciple them. As a woman, what can I do about the situation? Gosh, great question. Guys need guys to talk to when it comes to their purity, their sexuality. I mean, I think that the only way guys talk to girls and girls talk to guys is when there's someone else present. So, I mean, if you want to interact with a guy about his sexual issues, another guy should be with you at least, so that there's accountability and there's also making sure that there's not lines crossed. Well, honestly, on either side. And but I think that one of the reasons why maybe your guys don't want to talk to other guys is because they feel ill-equipped. I think that talking about sex in our culture, especially as a Christian, has so much shame attached to it. And I've said this for years. I'd say, the world perverts sex, religion shames it, but the kingdom celebrates it. And I think there's just not a lot of celebration in what we might call the religious realm. People just don't talk about sex. It's like a dirty word. I tell parents, in fact, I was doing a teaching on sex in church. This is probably 2 years ago. And I was talking about telling your kids about, telling your little children about sexuality and, being able to have a conversation with them that in which you didn't blush, in which you didn't send the message through your body language like this is really uncomfortable. And and I said to them, it's not always just what you say to your children that tells them there's something evil about this, there's something wrong about this, but often the delivery is so intensely, I don't know, people are so like nervous about it that it sends a message to their children like, well, there's something dirty about this. So I said to them in my message on a Sunday, get in front of the mirror and say penis, 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 vagina, vagina, vagina enough times that you can say it without it's like you can say it like you could say finger, hand, nose, ears, so that your children don't pick up like there's something dirty about a part of my body. There's something shameful about the reproductive process of humanity. And I think that there's just a lot of people who don't want to talk to others because they feel like they're sweating, they're nervous when they're talking about it. And I'm like, I actually love talking about sexuality because I feel like it's such an important subject. And the only people that are talking about it on a regular basis are the perverts, are the pornographers, are the people who want to pervert sex. And we need to make sure that we're telling the truth in love. I've been married for 21 years, and my husband continues to be unfaithful, but claims God heals him every time. What should I do? Well, I don't know you, and I would never tell you to do anything without seeing a wise counselor in which you both sit down and talk through this. But if I just had to go by principle and said, okay, what you just said as a question is actually the fact, is actually the truth, 100%. If this is 100% true, I would say that repentance, it's not forgiveness that sets you free, it's a repentance. Repentance means I actually changed my mind about what not just my behavior, but also the way I think about that behavior. And repentance looks like I actually walk away from my sin. In fact, Paul said, bring forth fruit of repentance. And he said, some of you are sorrowful, but you haven't repented. Like being sorry and being repentant is not the same thing. And if your husband wants to be married, then he needs to go get help for his sexual whatever addiction, inappropriate behavior. On the other hand, you could be the enabler. You're like, you've been 21 years, your husband is having multiple affairs. Why are you still in that marriage? That would be my question to you. Why are you still in that marriage? Because a covenant, a marriage is an agreement between two people. It sounds like you made an agreement to be faithful to your husband before God, but he hasn't been faithful to you. That's actually not a marriage. So um, if what you said is 100% true, I would go seek some help. Here's the next question: is temptation something that disqualifies you to be in a position of leadership? Temptation, Jesus was tempted in every way except without sin. In every way except without sin. Temptation is not sin. Bill Johnson used to put temptation like this: you can't keep a bird from landing on your head, but you can keep it from building a nest. What does that mean? It means temptation. I have about 3 seconds to decide if temptation is actually going to become a sin. When I think of a thought, like let's say, I don't know, a porn thought about a woman, that thought comes into my mind. Now, what I do with that thought determines whether I'm tempted or whether I've sinned. If I entertain that thought, if I'm like, oh, there's the trailer, and I hit the play the video, I'm agreeing with the temptation, and I have stepped over from temptation into sin. But everybody is tempted. Every single person. It says, Paul wrote, there's no temptation except for common to all people, and God's given us a way escape that we might go through it. Meaning temptation, the way through is deeper in, right? The way through is deeper into the Lord. Um, yeah. Uh, how do I be a good citizen and vote when both sides seem to be a setup and fake? Well, I'm glad you asked that question because I have in my next message to say that life very seldom is about good and bad choices. Well, that's probably not true. Often life is not about good and bad choices because I'll say this as the as one of the leaders of Bethel Church, most of the things that get to my desk are not good or bad. Those are handled by my other leaders. By the time it gets to my desk, it's usually like good or better or bad or worse. And the challenge is that we have a media around us. Now we have social posts that they don't, we have, we actually are all workers in media now with social, with Facebook, Instagram, all these social networks. And the challenge is that you make a decision and your two choices were bad or worse. And you choose bad because the other decision was worse. It's kind of like, well, I have cancer and I can either die or amputate my legs. It's like, and they amputate his legs. Well, the other choice is he dies. So, and then social media picks up our decision and goes, look at this terrible decision Kris Vallotton made. It's like, well, you didn't realize like these are the two choices. And the other choice was worse. And so I think that, life is not like life is being portrayed on social media as if we all get to make decisions on, oh, that's good, that's bad, that's holy, that's unholy, as if life is that safe. And I'd like to propose to you that life is not that safe. That life is not just about good and evil. It's not just the tree of good and evil. That life is full of decisions and roads that we're on that are often not easy and often not the best because the opportunity for the best isn't there. And so when we're talking about like who do I choose for president, who do I choose for governor, who do I choose for city council, I'm not choosing Jesus Christ. He's not running for president. He's King of Kings. So I already have a king. So when I'm choosing, to put someone in office, they're human and they're going to come with all their history. And by the way, if you run for office, everything you've ever done in life, especially if it's bad, from now we see all the way back to your elementary and high school days, like you made that bad decision in high school and that's still on you and you're 60 years old and someone's still talking about what you did in high school. Craziness. This is the world we live in. So, when I look at should I vote for Joe Biden or should I vote for Donald Trump, and these are the decisions we make, and it's like, okay, well, I have challenges with both of those. Like, well, that's life. I'm sorry, that's life. Jesus Christ is not running for president, and the person you choose is definitely going to have a past. And so you have to choose. Sometimes you have to choose. Maybe in that scenario, some of you would like, well, I don't want either one of those leaders. Well, you have a third choice. That's to do nothing. But if you do nothing, then from your perspective, the very worst out could come out of it. So, I don't see voting as anything different than life. Life hands you, you know, opportunities and challenges and problems that often are not easy to solve. And part of maturity is realizing my job here is to be faithful. My job here is to trust God. And my job here is to make the best decision given the circumstances that God has, or let's say, yeah, God's put in front of me, but man's put in front of me. It's just life. And I guess I would just really exhort us, like social media has created an unreal expectation of people. We take pictures with our children, like they've been screaming 1 second before. We're like, come on, Johnny, I'll give you a candy, I'll give you an ice cream. And we get everybody in the family smiling for 3 seconds while we snap a shot. And then we compare our lives to other people's happy life on social media. And it's just not real. It's not authentic. And we look at other people and they're like, they look like They look wealthy and therefore they look like they have no problems. And the only people who have no problems are the people that have went on to heaven. Because Jesus said, in the world you'll have tribulation. So there's this unreal expectation that there's going to be a world I live in, kind of utopia, because I love God, in which I don't have to make decisions that aren't the best decision because life only hands me great decisions. It's like, would you like to be a millionaire and love God, or would you like to be a billionaire and love God? It's like, I'm sorry, those aren't the choices that we get to make. And those of us that have children and now grandchildren, 12 of them, my life is full of decisions that I have no choice but to make a decision. And the decisions are often not easy decisions to make. And I have to say to myself, what would love do? What would Jesus do? And how do I move forward and not get stuck just spinning, thinking, well, if I make that decision, social media is going to pick it up and they're going to say, well, look at the bad decision he made. I can tell you that there are things posted about me, about my leader, about our movement that are just completely dishonest. And and yet every day I have to wake up and make more decisions that cause people to wonder what we're doing when we don't always get to make decisions that would be the best. So, well, welcome to the kingdom. Welcome to the world of challenges. Welcome to the world of tribulation. And welcome to the wisdom of God that's needed in every situation. Well, we're going to talk again next week. By the way, School of the Prophets, I'm still going to put a plug in for it. It's August 5th through the 8th. You should come. It's absolutely going to be amazing. There's going to be probably 1,000 people. We're already like, I don't know, 500 people or more. And it's going to be full. So expect the best. God bless you. Get your hopes.